All right, so now that we have our curb and gutter relayered, and we can do the area length count report to get the linear feet, I want to know how much concrete's here. So I'm going to show you how now to combine the line work that's on particular layers to the material site improvement manager. So the first thing we'll do is we'll go up to the MSI manager, which is on the Takeoff tab, as well a few other tabs you can find it, but it's this MSI manager. And in the MSI manager, we have to set up two things. We have to set up our material and then what is known as our site improvement. So our materials here, you can see we have a couple predefined for earth and earth and select, which we'll get to in more of the 3D takeoff chapter. But right now we're just looking at the 2D, and I want to know how much volume of material I'm going to need, at least concrete, for this curb and gutter. So what I'm showing you here is, kind of stepping you through is how to build this library. And again, once you build the library, you can use this on future projects. So your first project will have some basic materials, and then you'll add to that. So the first thing we need to do is create a material category. So I'm going to select and highlight materials. I'm going to right click and go new, or select new material category. And we'll go ahead and we'll call this, we can call it hardscape, or I'm just going to call it concrete. So I'm going to call it concrete, press enter, and then I'm going to right click on that material category, and I'm going to go ahead and select new concrete material. So this is the new concrete material. So this is going to be 3,500 PSI conc. Okay. Press enter to select that. Now over here to the right, we determine how do we want to measure this. So we want to measure by length, area, or volume. Because we already know the length of the linear feature, we want to actually measure the volume. And we can choose how do we want to measure it, by cubic inch, foot, or yard. I'm getting these options because I am in a US survey foot template or a project. If I was in a metric project, I would get cubic meters and metric information, okay, or metric units. So I'm getting these choices because I am in a US survey foot project. If I was in a metric project, I would get metric units equivalent to these. You can also add a supplemental unit. So if you purchase by maybe tonnage and you know how many cubic yards are in a ton or how many tons equal a cubic yard, you can put in that value here. And you could then come down here and say 1 cubic yard is 0.75 tons, or I could reciprocal it and say 1 ton is equal to 1.3 cubic yards, or whatever it happens to be. I could also put a procurement cost. So how much is this concrete, how much is going to cost per cubic yard or inch, foot, or even the supplemental by ton. So if you purchase it by the ton, and that's what the cost is, and you can report that in a report. All right. So I'm just going to put $1 in there for a per ton. We can then assign a color to it, and this helps with viewing it later on. Because this is a linear feature, cross-sectional area, the shading isn't really going to apply or do much for us, so we'll just leave that the way it is. Now that's our material. The next thing we have to do is set up our site improvement. So similar to the materials, under site improvements, I'm going to right click and create a new site improvement category. This site improvement category might be called paving and curbing. Okay, because I can have multiple site improvements under this category. The first one I'm going to add is a new paving and curbing site improvement, and we're going to call this concrete curb, and I'm just going to put a 1A in front of it, so it's 1A concrete curb, or we could just call it 1A curb, right, depending on how you want to name it. We actually want to do this by the linear, with cross-sectional area. And I'm going to click OK. So now we need to fill out this information. Now, if I take a look at that 1A curb and gutter, all right, we come down here, my 1B, we look at my 1A. I've got 10 inches by 6 inches is the area that I want to determine. That's my cross-sectional area, right? I'm not going to worry about the half-inch rounded. I'm just going to, 10 inches by 6 inches, so that's going to be 60 square inches. So if I was to come in here under my cross-sectional area and type in 60, set my unit to square inch, and then choose my material, which is my concrete 3,500 PSI. You could also put an installation price in here. So if it costs, $2 a linear foot, then it's going to tell me what the total cost of not only the material, but also the installation of this curb and gutter. All right. Now this is just the 1A curb and gutter that is actually part of the concrete slab, but we're going to determine how much, concrete is just in this curbing. Now I need to do the same thing for my 1B. So I'm going to come in and do another one. And we're going to call this 1B-curb. And this is gutter, so I'll just do curb and gutter. And again, cross-sectional area. I'm going to click OK and do the same thing. Now, if we take a look at our plan set, so if we take a look at our plan set and we look at this 1B curb and gutter, I know we've got a 24-inch curb and gutter on here. I'm just going to do the math, simple math. So basically I've got 24 this way. I've got 6 inches that way. I'm not going to worry about the slope or anything. So I'm going to take that value and then I'm going to add it to this 6 inches here and this 6 inches here. All right. So basically what I'm going to do is break out the calculator, and we've got basically 6 times 6. So that's 36 square inches. And then we've got 24. Oops. So I've got 24 times 6 is 144 plus 36. So basically 180 square inches for this curb and gutter. Okay. So we're going to put that in here, cross-sectional area, 180 square inches. That material as well as concrete curb and gutter. Okay. So now that I have that, let's go ahead and put this in here. We'll just make that $1. And I've got my material and I've got my 2 types of curb and gutter. I'm going to click close. Now I have to just basically assign those site improvements to the layers, and you do that under the categorize section. So under takeoff, under categorize, first thing we have to do is we have to go to those layers that we have, which are the 2 layers. So if I go to unused or unknown, right, we would pick on this 1A and 1B, and we first want to move those to design. So I'm going to select design, I'm going to reassign. So now I'll probably move this one over to design as well. So now I'm going to pick my 1A, and on the 1A, I'm going to come down here where it says associate site improvement, and I'm going to choose the 1A type of curb and gutter. And notice now I get this icon here that says cross-sectional. It looks like a little cross-section in curb and gutter. I'll do the same thing for this 1B. All right, I'm going to uncheck this one here and check that, just that one, and I'm going to put that on the 1B. All right, so now I've got both of those, and I can close this. Now all I have to do is come over to the takeoff report, and instead of the area length count report, I'm doing a takeoff report. And on the takeoff report, because we're not doing any earthwork or any volume, all I want to know is the site improvement quantities. Now, you can come down here and you can choose a concise report, an explanatory report, or launch Excel. There's other report options you can set here, and you can go up here to go to report options as well. So I'm just going to do site improvement quantities. I'm going to click OK. And it's going to create a report that I can print, and I can also save it as a Word document or as an Excel spreadsheet. So it gives me a little header, but then if I go to the next page, I can see here, this is the one I'm looking for, my 1A curb. There's my length, there's my cross-sectional area. That's how much cubic yards of concrete, how many tons, and then the same thing with the 1B, what my linear length is, and what my tonnage is. So again, I'm able to get a summary based on my length and my volume of material simply by associating an improvement to a layer. And then any linear objects on those layers will be calculated, and that's how you get your site improvement quantities. Go down a little bit further, it shows more of the information, just a breakdown of the different quantity types, right? So really the report gives you a bunch of different information here. Right, so a lot of information on that report. You can look at it in an Excel spreadsheet as well. So basically now I've got my curb and gutter. I know how much curb and gutter I need and how much volume of concrete I need.